So none of us had played before, had written before, and we wrote like 5 songs, and I sang for the first time, and I absolutely loved it. That was my introduction to music.
Hey, Steven, what's going on?
Not much, man. How you doing?
I'm doing well. I appreciate you doing this.
Thanks for having me, man.
For sure. My name is Adam, and this is about you, your journey in music, and we'll talk about the EP.
Cool.
Sweet. I did read that you moved to LA from Nashville. I know obviously you weren't born there, but I'm curious that you recently moved to LA from Nashville?
Yeah, 2 years ago, like right in the middle of the lockdown.
That's so funny because I'm originally from San Diego, from there to Nashville.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah. So yeah, you're part of that migration.
Yeah, which I didn't even know was happening, which is so crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So you probably witnessed quite a bit of that. You're like one of the few people going the other way.
Yeah. People are like, what are you doing, man? You're in the wrong direction.
That's funny. Yeah. Right on. So I guess we'll just start off. You're born in Cape Town in South Africa, correct?
Yeah.
What was it like growing up there? Tell me about that a little bit.
Well, I was born in 83, so growing up in the 80s and 90s in South Africa was very interesting. A lot going on.
Okay. Yeah, we're the same age now that you told me what year you're born. So I'm just curious. Yeah,
yes, you know the drill.
But what was it like? Well, you said it was just a lot going on there in the 80s and 90s, correct?
A lot of change. Yeah. Very interesting time to grow up in that country, and then to see it, in my teens, to experience the country coming out of apartheid and into a new era, sort of being introduced to the world slowly was fascinating place to grow up. And it was very unknown at the time. It's more, it's more known now, and it's more of a destination now. But at the time growing up, there was just nobody there. So it was and it's a stunning place. So it's just like this insane beauty that felt very undiscovered. And it was very special. Yeah.
And you grew up in a musical household, right? Your mom's a piano player. Yeah.
A lot of opera and jazz around the house. My mom would come to my room. I actually had a piano in my room growing up, a little piano.
Wow.
One of her pianos that I never played. I never learned to play growing up. She would come and play in my room every week or so. And that was very special. She's a very, very beautiful player.
So she would just come in every once in a while to play your piano. Was there another piano in the house that she played as well?
No, that was just that one. And I don't know why it was in my room. It was like a small upright piano. And she would just come in and sit down and start playing and sort of improvise. And I loved it. I mean, she'd play for like an hour and I'd listen to her. And she's got a beautiful touch.
And but did you ever learn piano, or just that was?
Not really. No, I eventually picked it up when I moved to LA. We were bouncing around a lot, bumming around, and we were house sitting a lot, trying to find places to stay. And this one house had a piano, and I started just playing around and messing around, and I really loved it. And then. But I haven't taken any formal lessons or anything. I still very ape-like when it comes
to. I mean, coming from a household with your mom being such a talented piano player, were you put in any sort of lessons for music at all?
No, I was not. Hey, that's another thing that I think contributed to my curiosity. It was never part of the curriculum, It was, I discovered it completely on my own, in my own timing, when I was about 13, 14.
Okay.
I hadn't played anything. I hadn't sung. I hadn't done anything. And there was this band in town that was playing a show in 2 weeks' time, and they needed somebody to open for them. And so one of the band members said to us, "Why don't you guys just form a band and just start and just play, and just write a few songs and play?" So we're like, okay. So none of us had played before, had written before, and we wrote like 5 songs, and I sang for the first time, and I absolutely loved it. That was my introduction to music.
Wow.
Sort of being taught.
Somebody, just telling you, hey, we're playing a gig. We want you should open up. But like, you must have had, like, did your brother play? Because I know he's in the band, and another friend must have had a musical knowledge of some sort. Like, how do you just have 3 kids that have don't know what they're doing at all? Learn how to play some music.
I know, it's wild. I think my brother he knew like maybe 3 chords or something.
Okay. So he could fumble around enough.
He could fumble around. Actually, I remember my brother and Richard, the drummer, arguing over who was going to play drums, because they both wanted to play drums, and I think they actually drew straws, and Andrew ended up playing guitar. And at the time it was just guitar, drums, and vocals. I hadn't started playing bass yet, so I was just up there singing poetry that I'd written. Something about, a lot of it was just about like the ocean and waves and stuff.
That's cool.
Yeah, and then from there it was very quick. It was like a very quick falling in love. Within the next like 2 years, I was like totally in.
Okay.
I was totally in.
How was that show? Do you remember?
Yeah, I remember wanting to throw up before I went on stage, and I remember being, in my memory, it was huge. In my memory, it was epic. But I think there was probably only about 40 people there.
That's a pretty good number, though. 40 people.
It's a pretty good number. Yeah, considering. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was awesome. I remember just like, it was totally thrilling. I threw up before the show. I think I threw up after the show.
Oh man.
But it was such a rush, and I just, once you get that, when you're at that age too, when you're so young, once you get that rush of like, I'm singing something that I wrote, and it wasn't even a matter of whether people were liking it or not. It was just the simple act of expression on a platform, on a stage, that was like, I can actually do this. Like, and then nobody was doing it. I mean, it's, growing up there, the scene was tiny. I mean, it's kind of a small country, and there was just nothing going on. So it was like, and there wasn't any infrastructure for. You couldn't Google how to be in a band,
Sure.
It was just like, and as well as like, South Africa was so far behind at that time. We're talking like 90. This is like 95. So apartheid had just ended, and everything was opening up, but it was still so isolated. So there wasn't a lot of outside influence yet. And so, yeah, it felt very, very new and exciting and dangerous, and not recommended. And then naturally, as a kid, you like, when you're told that something's like not recommended and risky, and like, especially when you want to try and make it into a living, and everyone's saying, no, you can't do that. You'll end up a bum.
Then you just go full force. Yeah, you're like, oh, well, then I'm doing it. Right.
Exactly.
Oh, wow. So from there, because then the 3 of you ended up turning it into Civil Twilight, right? So it started that young, at 13, in that first show.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? Yeah, it's the same people. And I discovered bass, the depths of bass, and other styles of music. And I played in a lot of different bands and jazz bands and stuff for many years in my teens. But the band kept going. I don't really know why. I think it was just curiosity, and we didn't play a lot of shows, but we just jammed a lot, Then eventually, yeah, it's crazy. When you think back when you're younger, and you think, how did I have the guts to do certain things, or like,
right?
yeah, I think, what was I thinking? I don't think I was thinking, but what drove me to this point? And it was just pure excitement.
And it's almost being
City.
naive, right?
Exactly.
You're
Yeah,
like,
totally.
you don't know that when you're older, you're like, oh my gosh, like I'm gonna look like an idiot, or I'm gonna do this or that. And like then you're just like, you don't have that thought process yet. Just like, let's
Not
just
at
go
all.
for it, whatever.
Yeah, let's give ourselves 3 months to save a bit of money. Let's pack our bags and go to Los Angeles. We know 2 people there that we can stay with for at least 2 weeks, and then we'll go from there. And for some reason, our parents, I mean, my folks are just incredible, and I wouldn't have been able to. I wouldn't be here without their support, obviously. And it's
Mhm.
like, I don't know what they were thinking either. Sending your 20-year-old, 21-year-old kid across the ocean with a suitcase. We're like, well, we may see you in 3 years. Might be a year. I don't know. It's nuts, man.
Yeah, they knew, but
Nuts.
they knew that you were going with your brother at least,
I was
right?
going with my brother. That I think that made all the difference. And the three of us together, we were pretty tired. We were very
Mhm.
tired, and we knew that we were going to be okay.
Yeah, and if it went sideways, they'd probably assume that you guys one of you would call home and be like, "Yo, like we need to get we need to get back." So you got to
Totally.
convince Steven to get in the airplane and head home, or vice versa,
Yeah,
or whatever it would be.
totally. And my brother would have been that guy. He was way more responsible than I was. I don't think we definitely wouldn't have been able to do the things we did without his intelligence and awareness, because I was not either of those things at the time.
So you
Uh,
came out to LA. You said you knew two people, but did you have like some momentum in South Africa and with the band at all, or was it like, we know we have something cool here and
mm,
LA is like a music place. Let's just go there and see what happens.
mm-hmm. Yeah, because we'd grown a little following in Cape Town, and
Okay.
but we'd also seen the trajectory of a lot of bands, South African bands at the time, that would just, because it's such a small scene and small country, you could you if you take over the whole country and becomes the superstar of South Africa, you immediately hit a ceiling. And we saw that whether we just thought we didn't want to attempt that and then have to, like, I don't know, just go backwards, So we thought, let's just skip that whole attempt and let's just go straight to where we know we want to be and where we can really grow. And which at the time we just wanted to tour. Like, that's all we wanted to do. We wanted to, like, play lots of shows
Mm-hmm.
and be in America. And then America was like the place to do that. So
you guys came out to LA.
I came to LA, and then from there, man, it was just one big adventure. It was like years and years of waiting for visas to come through with management, and slowly getting familiar with it. And then eventually we moved to Nashville, actually, through a bunch of weird circumstances. And that was 4 years after we'd moved, and we still didn't have anything really going on.
Really? So when you got to
Yeah.
Nashville, the band you hadn't had the success, obviously, once the first record came out and everything.
No, we had one record we made, but we were actually signed to an independent label out of New York, but they backshelved us for like a whole year because they didn't know what to do with the record. So It was a different time too, It's like totally different. So we just sort of sat around thinking this may happen, that may not happen.
Uh-huh.
And then one day we got a call saying that a radio station out of Texas is starting to play one of our songs, and we should probably go out there and play for the radio station. So we got on our van and drove out there, and it was literally like we didn't come back for like a year. We just, after that, it was like the next radio show and the next radio show, and then it kept adding on, and the song got more momentum. And then I think we were out on the road we'd be home in Nashville for about 2 months out of like 2 years. It was just solid touring.
Wow. Because I'm from radio. I did radio all pretty much up until the pandemic, when this podcast took off way quicker than I ever anticipated it. Just, I mean, due to circumstances of everybody at home. But
yeah. Well, congrats on that, man. Well done.
Thank you. It was just mainly for a fun hobby and to do what I love to do. But I did radio for 17 years, and I remember when we were playing. It was Letters from the Sky was what we were playing in the station in San Diego that I worked at. And you might have done something with us. I want to say you guys played like, because I worked for a station that was like online also, and it was video oriented. This is before I went on to 91X, which we also played you guys on that station in San Diego. But you guys did like a show. We had like this garage in the back, and it was like filmed. I don't know if you even remember this. Yeah.
Were there like was there an audience there?
Yeah, an audience came. And it was like in this little strip mall next to like an In-N-Out burger. Dude, it was bizarre.
So many places like that. But I bet if I touch like this one little detail, I could probably remember it.
Yeah, it's all good. But I remember that it's wild to think that you guys had been here for so long. I mean, at least in the States, and then we're living in Nashville, and the fact that this one station in Texas started playing you, and then it just kind of became this trickle effect. I guess that's just how it happens. And it just takes one bigger radio station to play it, then everybody's got to get on board. I mean, I guess that's the radio promotion people do. It's like, well, K-Rock's on board, so you should be. But that was
that was the talk back in the day. Yeah, man. It's so funny seeing that happen. Like, yeah, you're very right in that. So
but
funny.
That's cool. Like, do you remember where, like, the station that started, or what? I'm sure you have to remember where you went in Texas. Was it what part of Texas?
I think it was out of
Houston, maybe.
Was that Dallas to Houston? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was one of those like rock stations, you know.
And you were like, okay, we should go do that, and then it was just slowly kind of getting picked up across the country in different markets.
Yeah, very quickly.
Wow.
It's and I think at the time we'd never toured. I mean, we toured like on our own, but never like a big national thing, and we'd never done radio promotion. So we had we didn't know what was like expected of us. So we would come into a radio station with all our gear, drum set, and pile into these people's like tiny little booths and just rock for like half an hour, and and give it everything we have. I mean, I think that made a huge difference, because later on we discovered like that's just a big pain in the ass to do if you're gonna be on the road for years and years, and like it's exhausting, you know. So to carry all your gear into a place and set up and do that, it's a lot. And not a lot of people were doing it at the time, and I think that made a big difference, man.
I agree.
Excited. Yeah.
And just having that, to see that happen, and you totally capitalize on the fact that this song is doing something and being excited about it and wanting, because I'm sure that doesn't happen all the time. I know it doesn't, actually, working in in radio.
And the song that we had too was like something that it didn't have a chorus, and it wasn't a traditional pop song, and I think that also made a difference. It felt like ours, like we'd earned it to something, and very special times, man. Good times. Yeah.
I mean, all those records, I mean, those first 3 albums you guys did were all like, they all did well. I mean, like once you have that record, you said that kind of got shelved for a minute after you had wrote it, then you know, you put out Holy Weather. Is that something that you were like, oh, were you guys concerned going up into that record at all? Or was it like, you know, let's just do what we do best and carry on? Or was it like, okay, now people are paying attention? Did you have that weight on you at all?
No, not so much. I think we were so over, I don't know. We just wanted to do something a little different. And I remember we'd been touring for so long, and we didn't actually have time to sit and do what we'd usually do, which is just like sit in the room, the three of us, and just jam for a long time. I think we were all so tired anyway. So we got back from the road. I had like a 2-3 week gap, and the label was like, looks like we need to make another record. It's about that time. Do you guys have any songs? And we didn't have anything. So I just wrote a bunch of stuff. I just got given a computer and I was introduced to GarageBand.
Oh, wow.
I've never done that before on my own. And I made all these demos on my own, and we sent them to like a few producers, and they really liked them. And so we dove in without ever rehearsing any of the songs, which was we just never done that before. So the record came out a little different, and I don't think it did as well, but I mean, I'm proud of it. It was really fun to make.
I mean, I mean, it did, but it charted and everything. I mean, it was doing well enough.
Right.
It wasn't like it just totally went unnoticed. You know what I mean?
True. Yeah. I had a little bit of traction. I mean, I kept this on the road for sure. Kept this going. Yeah.
Well, similar to, what you are, you just released with your EP. You did that all on your own, didn't you? Wasn't that something that you did all produced kind of by yourself?
Yeah, I did. During the time we've just had, I just moved to LA, I guess. So it was like, I've become more familiar with working on my own now, and I sent a few tracks to my friend to add some things, and doing that was like, I got them. I did that sort of the last thing I did was send him some songs, and he played some stuff on it. And I was like, I really missed this. I don't think I want to make another record fully alone again. I've made like 3 or 2 now on my own, and I think I'm like ready for collaboration. It's just it's like one thing, I'm just tired of looking at a computer screen, like on your own. It's not a very romantic activity, sitting at a computer moving pixels around. It's not like, I know that's how a lot of music is made nowadays, but it certainly doesn't do anything for me.
Okay.
It's I just feel like I'm at it's just not, that is not, it's one aspect of music, but it's certainly not something I enjoy entirely.
With moving to Nashville, or moving from Nashville, so because you put out a solo record, 2 solo records prior to the EP, correct?
Yeah. Did I? Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Yeah, 2. So were you so you weren't living in Nashville up until this most recent recording?
I was, yeah. I got off the road. The band stopped touring and sort of ended, and I think 2017, 16, at the end of the year. Yeah. We were living in Nashville. In a 2-week span, we were in the middle of a tour, like a big tour with a opening up for a big band, and we come off the road for a break, and I had like 2 seizures, like two seizures in a row from alcohol withdrawal.
Oh my gosh.
And this is like 10 years of pretty heavy alcoholism, and I was like, okay. So I that sort of knocked me into shape, and I sobered up, and then a week later, the label imploded overnight.
Oh my gosh!
And the band split up. So we had a meeting and decided to end it. So within 2 weeks, it was like my entire identity, like everything I had built and like poured myself into for like 15 years, was all of a sudden just like a new chapter. It was actually massively liberating at the time. Yeah, it was very good for all of us. It was like the best band meeting we'd had in a long time, actually.
Wow. I mean, I also, I don't know if you drink now, but I don't drink, and I haven't for a handful of years. And it's that seems like it would be so difficult. I mean, to go from that and kind of this lifestyle, and then not only that, you're watching these other things kind of happen in a
Mm-hmm.
row. I mean, you must
Mm-hmm.
have been under like a lot of pressure. So, wow.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Yeah. Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, it was starting over again in every way.
mhm.
uh, but the best, so it's been 5 years, 5.5 years, um, and yeah, still sober. Love that.
Congratulations.
Thanks, bro. Yeah,
That's so cool,
um,
man.
but the hardest 5 years, definitely hardest
Yeah.
5 years in my life for sure. Yeah,
I was gonna say, like, just I'm glad to hear that you say you're sober because I didn't know if you're like, and then like knowing like all this stuff collapsed, and then I had to like, you know what I
and
mean,
then I
like,
jumped back
because
on.
that's what I was thinking. I'm like, did he have to do that? Because that seems like it would be not only like quitting drinking, but to see like everything that you knew kind of come to an end almost overnight with the band and the label and everything else. You're just like, okay, well. I got to start fresh. Like, so do you start working on a record or like, were you kind of confused where you were at that point? I mean, I think that'd be so hard to.
Yeah, I had no idea what I was gonna do. I didn't know if it was music or what. Um, we saved a bit of money, my wife and I, and we traveled. That kind of saved me in a lot of ways.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, did a little bit of bumming around, doing a few little gigs in here and there for some people, and eventually started writing for a publishing company, which who is an old friend. It's just like a very small publishing company, and who I'm still writing for, and she's just been incredible.
Mhm.
Yeah, and that kind of then we traveled some more, and I wrote the first record while we were in Paris, and we were staying. We just decided to be there for like 3 months or something and bounce around, and staying in little Airbnbs, and so I just wrote that first one while I was on the road, and
Mhm.
been a slow it's been a slow building of truth and identity, after many years of pouring myself into something to such a degree
Uh-huh.
that I didn't know who I was. Actually, that's how I got to that place of complete breakdown. It's like I had no idea what was really inside. It was all just um yeah, it was all based on this on the band. It was based on this idea of being somebody,
Right. I mean, it kind of becomes an identity, I would think, right? With the band. Like, oh yeah, I'm
It
Steven
is.
from Civil Twilight. Yeah.
It is.
And
Yeah, it's so easy to do that. I mean, even the most pure intentioned person, I mean, you'll find yourself. It's easy to get wrapped up, and it's such a wonderful blanket to be wrapped in.
right, right.
So when that's gone, yeah, rebuilding. It's been
Mhm.
5 years of that. Really, really hard, but really good.
Yeah. I mean, I love the record with Ethio, the one that you put out prior, or part one and two, right? It was put out in two EP forms.
Hmm.
Uh-huh. That's an incredible album, man. I love
Huh?
what you're doing. I love it. Did you put that out though in 2020? Were you still living in Nashville at the time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was.
And that
We
must have been
just
before pandemic hit.
Yeah, it was right before. Yeah, we're actually on the road. My wife and I were touring, um, and we were touring that record, and she was touring her record, and we were in Seattle, and when we were leaving Seattle, this was like January.
Oh man, that's where it
And we were,
started getting bad, right? Is in
yeah. So
Seattle.
I remember we were leaving Seattle, driving out of the city, and had the radio on, and some guy was going on about this cruise ship that had come in, and some people are being what's the word, quarantined for some weird illness, and we're like, oh, well, let's get the fuck out of here. So we started driving east, and our bass player, I think he might have had COVID, but we're not sure. But I like to think that we were it's not a very nice thought, but maybe we contributed to the COVID spreading across the country because
Oh man.
so it was like right when that was going down, and yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. Have you seen that Dave Chappelle? I think it's like one of, not the most, maybe it was the most recent special that he did on Netflix. He talks about how he had COVID and he's shaking everybody's hand. He's like, I didn't even know it. And I'm shaking all these people's hands and taking pictures. He's like, I probably killed like 1,000 people. I was like, oh man, like, it's such a brutal joke.
Yeah.
I was like, oh man, but that just made me think of that. But it's not funny. But anyway, wow. So you were touring that record when that all shut down. And did you get back to Nashville for a bit and just decide, hey, let's try something new and head back to LA?
Yeah. Yeah, we would so that we got back to Nashville, the tour, then the lockdown happened, and we were like, we don't know how this is going to go down. Let's go somewhere else. So we rented out our house and went to the countryside in Kentucky.
Okay. And Nashville had it rough too there, right? I mean, there was a bomb and there was a tornado, and
oh my gosh, all in one go. It was insane. And we thought, let's get out of here before something else happens.
I was gonna say, you're probably like, okay, this is enough.
Yeah. So we didn't actually plan to do a whole move, and we just found out the place that we'd rented in the countryside was started to smell funny, and there was lots of bugs everywhere, and we're like, we're paying money to be here. We should just travel. We should just go out west. So we just drove out to California, and we were here for about a week, and we're like, we got to stay. We should definitely stay here. That was it. And we just,
now you're here.
Yeah, just decided to stay. It was great.
Wow. And then when do you start putting together this new EP?
Good question. Do you find that like the last 2 years, 3 years time, I can't even like,
I can't comprehend it.
Yeah, like a question like that, I'm like, I can't actually tell you. I don't know.
But you were in LA, maybe?
Definitely. I was in LA, and we've been here for a minute, and I just remember feeling the urge to put something together, and I just bought a new sample machine.
Oh, okay.
And
like a drum machine.
Yeah, it's like a drum machine, but you can put in all any sounds you like, and so you can like cut them and manipulate them, and it was a very fun little easy machine to use. And so I'd just walk around the house, walk around the apartment, just like hitting things and like singing and stuff. And I took a lot of those little clips and then put them into the sample machine and would make tracks and beats and stuff. And then from that, I was like, I think I got something that I like here. And then I just wrote the rest of it with that as the bass.
Really? Yeah. So it was all based, like just random objects within the house?
Yeah. So like, if you take a tap, you can tap anything. I was tapping all kinds of crap, and then you just put it into this little machine and you can slow it down.
Mm-hmm.
So it sounds like, or speed it up, just put it backwards, just playing around with. So all the sounds on the record are, all the percussion is all just, it might sound like drums. I think there are like maybe 1 or 2 drums in there, but most of them it's just those sounds, my fingers hitting stuff.
Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah.
That's so crazy.
It was fun. Yeah.
So once you have the songs, or what kind of built, is that when you said you sent them out to a producer friend of yours to help complete them?
I sent them, to a friend of mine. He at the time was he lives in Florida now, and he's a brilliant musician. He goes by the name of Bucky Shorts. So that's his artist's name, but he's brilliant. I just wanted him to throw some stuff on the track, and he did. I think he played on 3 tracks, some guitar and some synth stuff and some vocals. And then I was done, and then I sent it to a friend of mine in the UK to mix, and he killed the mix. He did a great job, and then you have a record, and it's like, oh crap! Oh, now we got to put it out, and I put Ethio out with a record label called Sonic Ritual, and it didn't do very well, and I was like, well, we'll see if they want to, if he wants to do anything else. And he sent me an email as I was finishing up this record, and he's like, hey, just so you know, like anything you want to put out,
wow,
I want to support you in that way. So I was like, okay, awesome. So that worked out.
So you're like, I got this other one.
Got this other one. Is it too? Are you down for that? So let's do it. He's great. Man.
I have a question, and I'll cut this out if need be, because you have an EP. The EP is called 1 and 0, and I have a press piece here from who I got in contact with you for, and it says Nama also, Nama. Is that something that is yet to be announced? And if it is, I'm not going to spoil that here.
That is a great question. I have to get.
But is more. Essentially you're going to put out a 7-track record?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that record's called Nama. And that'll come out in September most likely. And I think before a few other things being released before that. Okay.
Then I'll cut this out and we'll just focus on what you have out now. Because when I was looking at, this is through Ray, it didn't specify, so I was like, I don't know, but I'm gonna just throw this out here. And I wanted you to know that I know that's happening. So when I base my questions, I won't go there.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I think talking to Ray about it, he said, let's just focus on talking about the EP as a strategy for now.
Okay.
Like, cool, I'm down.
All right, right on. So now I will remove this. I just wanted to clarify with you first.
Cool. Thanks, man.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. Because okay, so now we'll just go back. So 1 and 0, the EP has 2 songs from this session, but you have an older one on there too, right? With The Promise. Was that? I think you said it was from the Ethio sessions, or was it a song that was going to make that record and it didn't? And then you tell me about the song, or was it on that record?
Oh yeah, it was on that record. And I did. I recorded a few songs live, like sitting outside on the bed of my truck. I had this truck when I was back in Nashville, and so I was recording this video with a friend of mine who was filming it, and the audio turned out really well, and I kind of liked. I loved the focus on the lyrics. You know, when you strip everything down, it was just piano and vocal, and there was a nice focus on the lyrics, and I liked the birds chirping in the background and stuff, and I thought, let's give this one another go. Like, let's give people another angle of this song, you know, because I think it is the original song on Ethio is it's something I'm very proud of, but I know it's quite a left turn content wise and attitude wise. It's quite different to what I've put out before. So I just wanted to give another angle on it, you know. Yeah, and actually it was funny, the mix, the actual mix. I was supposed to send it into the label for it to get mastered, but I was traveling at the time and I didn't have any way to do that, and I was trying to track a friend down so I could send it. I didn't have my computer with me, and anyway, so that the song was mixed by him, but he wasn't. It's hard to explain, but he wasn't listening to it. He just put it on his computer and printed it and sent it to me.
Oh,
we didn't even
he didn't mix it at all. He just he just took the file and then sent it to you.
Yeah, we didn't listen to it, didn't double check it. I just sent it. I thought, let's just see if this is gonna sound good. I just sent it to to the record label, and they were like, yeah, that'll do. Anyway, I thought that was funny. Like it was mixed without even listening to what it was. Yeah,
that's really funny.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's amazing. Do you plan on are you touring the record, or are you gonna like do anything with that, or like play any live shows soon?
Yeah, I would like to. I think I would like to do. I don't think. I know. Well, I know I don't want to tour the same way I've done before.
Mm.
I just don't think that's necessary. So I would love to do some shows, but I'll probably pick the cities and do something special. I paint as well, and I'm doing some more collaborations with people, and so I think I'd want to make the shows a little more special than just a club gig, passing through town. But I've yet to work that out, but it's gonna happen at some point. Yeah.
Amazing. Hopefully you'll make Nashville one of your spots.
Yeah, Nashville's interesting. It's a tough town to play in when it's full of musicians,
Yeah. For sure. Well, thank you so much, Steven, for doing this, man. I really appreciate your time.
Bro, thanks for having me. This has been great. This has been
awesome. Well, I do have one more question before I let you go. I want to know if you have any advice for aspiring artists.
It's funny. I met this kid 2 days ago at an art show, and I bumped into him on a walk here, and he came back to the house, and I made him some coffee, and I was like talking with him, and he was and the way he was talking about stuff, he's clearly very talented, and he played me some things, and he was but he's 27, he's wrestling with a lot of stuff, and I just felt like telling him, just like, play the slow game, I said, practice patience and just work on your slow game, if that makes any sense. Don't rush into anything, like let things come to you, but just keep going. And that's something that you hear all the time, and it's very cliche, but I'm discovering how important that is, because you wanna leave the shore and go past the horizon to the point where you know you can't return anymore, and then you're truly fucked in the best way possible. Sorry.
No, you can cuss, man. You can say whatever you want. Cool. Yeah.
So I get beyond that point, and then you can't return, and so you just keep going, and from that, life gets really exciting. Yeah, I would offer a lot of advice, but that's what I would give you now.